At the Design Summit here in Melbourne, Tom Farrah is my next guest, and you've literally just taken off a belt from your trousers. We didn't get it on camera, but hello, Tom.
Fenella, how are you?
What's the belt?
The belt is called the Kimberly Belt. It's basically utilising a knot that used to be used to attach reins to a bridle up in the northern parts of Australia in rural areas, in which I've been able to push the application of it further so that it can anchor a buckle and then is moulded to become its own keeper, just using the leather itself, no rivets or stitching.
There are a lot of belts out there, so obviously different technologies, new designers come into this, but what makes yours so significant and why do it?
I guess it's being a small business and working in leather accessories. For me, the point of difference in design speaks volumes. And so instead of trying to create something that is relatively similar to everything else that is out on the market, you don't necessarily have to scream to your customer. If you have a really good point of difference, you can use that as part of your marketing strategy. For me, also, the design ethos for my particular business is to try and draw more functionality from the base material, so that there's less over-machining and changing the natural characteristics within it. There's more function that lies within the material. We just have to think about how to manipulate it to get it out of it.
And your design itself, how does that change? I mean, I know you just had it on your own trousers, but I mean, how does it change for the experience of the user? Why is this belt better, I suppose?
It delivers a much longer life because there's no interruption to the surface that has the most amount of lateral strain on it. There's no perforations or holes that would act like perforations for stitching or rivets. And so basically that is a solid strap of leather until it comes over the back of the buckle, and by the time it comes back on itself and runs over 180 degrees, the majority of the force or the lateral force has been dispersed, and then you're left with the rest of the material, which is manipulated around itself to form its own keeper. So it delivers a much longer lasting belt, and it should, with that as well, have a long-lasting aesthetic. So it's
I've never felt this or thought this deeply about belts before, which is really fantastic. How many prototypes have you gone through to get to this final design?
Quite a number. I don't know the exact number of prototypes. I know that I did get to a point where I was pretty close to letting it go, but my father, who is an industrial designer as well, gave me the word of saying that you're not quite done with this, and so I went back to the drawing board and kept on manipulating and testing, and eventually got there. So instead of using rivets or stitching, I'm able to utilise hot water and about a metric tonne of pressure to impart on the knot to keep it nice and slimline, and the water softens the leather for me to be able to make it more malleable. Okay,
so the belt is finalised. We've got the design. It works really well. Now getting it to the market. You mentioned that you were a small business before. So tell me what you do. How are you achieving that? How are you communicating with the customer base?
Definitely, I think for me, one of the strategies was also coming more so from a design perspective rather than a craft or arts perspective. That's one of the major points of difference for myself. So going into events such as the Melbourne Design Awards enables me to then say, instead of having a huge array of different belts, I have one that has been considered for an event such as this, which is a huge feather in my cap. But it also allows me to say it's not just another piece of craft. It's a very well considered product. Also, people, I guess, with the online community, such as bloggers and YouTube, there's a huge audience, and they're seen as a trusted voice as well for people that are looking for recommendations. So engaging with people via blogs and giving people more insight, I guess, into the process really gives the customer more of an opportunity to relate to the product, relate to what's gone into it, and therefore give them, I guess, the confidence to go ahead and purchase.
So you're talking and speaking directly to the customer. A lot of big name brands, that's what they all talk about. That's how they want to reach their customers. We want to speak directly to the customer, but you're actually doing this, which they might not have the opportunity to do so.
That's right. So I do quite a few design events and things like that in terms of design markets around Australia. But also trying to speak, I guess, directly through the website is quite important. Yep. Predominantly my business is run online, and especially with a material like leather, you lack the opportunity to touch and feel and smell the product. So in lieu of that, you need to deliver auxiliary I guess, information to be able to circumvent the lack of that experience, which is more of an insight into process, which people find very engaging. Yeah.
So how do you stay agile? And as you said, you're a small business, so constantly having to kind of change the prototypes or iterate to get the right design for your belt. But you need to do this as a business person as well, speaking to the customer, strategizing. How do you do that?
It's a very, very slow process. Predominantly, the testing is done by myself and a group of, close people in design and friends. But that's why my product development is generally glacially slow, because I need to ensure that it is a piece of what I call life equipment. So it's a product that is relevant in both its aesthetic and its function for a very long period of time. And then obviously that's it's very important that the construction is mirroring that.
What's the next step for you? Where do you take this? Obviously, selling through your website, speaking directly to the audience is certainly part of it. It's very nuanced. But what about other kind of sort of more expansive roles? What have you considered?
In terms of wholesaling, absolutely, and that's one of the other things that I believe in as well with design. It's the one cohesive factor that is really, really important, that should not only deliver a solution to the design problem, it should enable economic production and upscalability. And it all starts from the point of conception. In terms of my particular belt, it will be going through and building the brand relatively slowly, and then also, I guess, branching out, but selecting the correct outlets to be able to sell it, and have an organic growth so that none of the material or the process is compromised.
I'll see you next year here after global domination. Sounds good?
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Cheers. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tom Farrah. Appreciate it.